Living large, living loud, stacking paper high, chasing dreams all the way to the sky. From rags to riches in the blink of an eye, friendships in the vault where the old bonds die. Parties on rooftops, crystals in the dark, lost in the glitz till we miss the mark. Gold turned to chains, heavy on the heart, the price of a wish tearing us apart. Crew, we just hit the jackpot, stacks money tall, and now we on the top of the map. But grease slid in like a police trap. Trucks broke down, can't avoid that cap. Friends turn foes, plot a twist, no script. Lies and blood, bills ain't clean, they drip. Versace steering wheel, now we in for a trip. We used to be friends, but our bond just ripped. Gone. We hit, 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 we hit.
Chapter 15. Dangerous Evidence. The patrol cars sped off the lot, their sirens blaring and lights flashing as they raced towards the orchestrated chaos. Ladarius watched from his hiding spot, a satisfied smirk on his lips. The distraction was working perfectly. With the coast clear, he moved quickly and silently toward the rear of Kim's beauty bar. His eyes scanned the building's side, locating the ladder just out of reach. He glanced around and spotted a garbage can nearby. He pushed the can close to the wall without hesitation, creating a makeshift step to access the ladder. The cold metal of the ladder was rough under his hands as he began his ascent, each rung bringing him closer to his target. The night air was cool and crisp, heightening his senses and alerting him. He climbed steadily, his movements precise and deliberate to avoid any noise. Reaching the top of the building, Ladarius paused to catch his breath, his heart pounding in his chest. He carefully pulled himself onto the roof, staying low to avoid being seen. He scanned the rooftop, his eyes quickly adjusting to the dim light. There it was, the roof door just a few yards away. He moved cautiously, every step calculated. The stillness of the night was disrupted only by the distant sounds of the city below. As he approached the door, something rustled nearby. He froze, his eyes darting to the source of the noise. A pair of glowing eyes stared back at him out of the shadows. A vicious raccoon, its fur bristling and teeth bared, blocked his path. Ladarius tensed, knowing that any sudden movement could provoke the animal. The raccoon hissed, its eyes never leaving his. Ladarius knew he had to act fast. Instead of trying to lure the raccoon away, he made a run for the door. He locked eyes with the creature, adrenaline surging through his veins. With a sudden burst of speed, he sprinted towards the door. The raccoon, startled by his sudden movement, lunged forward, its claws scraping against the roof as it chased him. Ladarius reached the door just in time, yanking it open and slipping inside, narrowly avoiding the raccoon's snapping jaws. He slammed the door shut behind him, the raccoon's angry hisses muffled by the thick metal. The air was musty inside the building, and the darkness enveloped him. He took a moment to steady his breathing, the adrenaline still coursing through his veins. The first hurdle had been cleared, but the real challenge was beginning. Ladarius pulled out his flashlight and began navigating the narrow corridors, each step bringing him closer to uncovering the truth hidden within Kim's beauty bar. Ladarius took a deep breath, steadying himself as he descended the dark, narrow stairs. The soft glow of his flashlight cut through the pitch-black surroundings, illuminating each step. He moved cautiously, aware of every creak and groan the old building made. Reaching the bottom of the stairs, he paused to listen for any sounds that might indicate someone was nearby. Satisfied he was alone, he began to creep through the beauty bar. The air was thick with the scent of various beauty products, creating an eerie juxtaposition with the silent, shadowy environment. Ladarius had memorized the layout of the beauty bar from the footage he studied, but being inside added a new level of tension. He moved with calculated precision, sticking to the shadows and avoiding the beams of light from the security cameras. Each step brought him closer to his target, but also closer to the risk of being discovered. As he approached the front of the beauty bar, he spotted the smoke detector on the ceiling. His eyes then shifted to the security system panel on the wall nearby. He knew he had to disable the security system before attempting to switch the smoke alarm. He crouched low, moving silently to the panel. The glow from his flashlight was minimal, just enough to see the wires and keypad. He pulled out his tools, his hands steady as he worked on hacking the system. The seconds ticked by, feeling like hours as he bypassed the security protocols. With a final click, the system was disabled. Ladarius allowed himself a brief moment of relief before focusing on the smoke detector. He stood up slowly, eyes scanning the room for any movement. The cameras were no longer a threat, but he remained vigilant. He reached up and carefully removed the smoke detector cover. Inside, the intricate wiring and sensors awaited his skilled hands. He began the delicate task of switching the smoke alarm system, each movement precise and deliberate. The faint sound of his breathing was the only noise in the stillness of the beauty bar. As he worked, the tension in the air was palpable. He knew that any mistake could trigger an alarm or alert someone to his presence. His focus was unwavering, his determination clear. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the switch was complete. Ladarius stepped back, his heart still racing from the adrenaline. He double-checked his work, ensuring that everything was in place. Satisfied, he took a moment to plan his next move, aware that the most challenging part was yet to come. Ladarius took a deep breath, steadying himself as he descended the dark, narrow stairs. The soft glow of his flashlight cut through the pitch-black surroundings, illuminating each step. He moved cautiously, aware of every creak and groan the old building made. Just then, he heard a faint scratching sound coming from the direction of the roof door. His heart skipped a beat as the noise grew louder. He turned his flashlight towards the hallway, and to his dismay, he saw the raccoon from earlier. The creature had managed to push the door open and was now inside the building, its eyes glinting with anger. Ladarius muttered under his breath, "Shit, not you again." The raccoon hissed, its fur bristling as it slowly advanced towards him, clearly more pissed off than before. Quickly assessed his options, knowing that he had to act fast. The raccoon was blocking his path back to the stairs, and he couldn't risk making sudden movements that might alert anyone nearby. He needed to find a way to distract the animal and continue his mission without further complications. Backing up slowly, Ladarius glanced around and noticed a room full of hair products just a few steps away. An idea sparked in his mind. He knew he had to be quick, so he stepped into the room, scanning the shelves for something useful. His eyes landed on a can of hairspray. Grabbing it, he swiftly returned to the hallway. But when he stepped back out, the raccoon had disappeared. The hallway was pitch black. The only sound was his breathing. Ladarius's pulse quickened. The absence of the raccoon was almost more unsettling than its presence. He knew it was still out there, somewhere in the shadows, waiting. He stood still for a moment, listening intently. The darkness seemed to close around him as he strained to hear any movement. The hairspray felt cold and heavy in his hand, a makeshift weapon against an unpredictable foe. He took a cautious step forward, every sense on high alert, knowing that he had to find the raccoon before it found him. His heart pounding, he approached the door at the bottom of the stairs. Ladarius paused momentarily, taking a deep breath to steady his nerves. The door was his escape route, the final obstacle before he could return to the rooftop and out of the building. He slowly reached for the doorknob, turning it with a mix of anticipation and dread. As the door creaked open, his flashlight beam illuminated the stairwell beyond. For a brief moment, he felt a flicker of relief. But that relief was short-lived. As the door swung open, he was met with vicious yellow eyes glaring at him with unrestrained fury. The raccoon, seemingly more enraged than ever, leaped towards him with a feral hiss. "Shit!" Ladarius shouted, his instincts kicking in. He aimed the can of hairspray and sprayed it directly at the raccoon, the mist creating a temporary barrier. The raccoon shrieked, momentarily disoriented by the unexpected assault. Ladarius didn't waste a second. He bolted up the stairs, the flashlight beam bouncing wildly as he sprinted towards the rooftop door. The adrenaline surged through his veins, pushing him to move faster. He could hear the raccoon's claws scraping against the metal stairs behind him, a chilling reminder of the danger still at his heels. Reaching the rooftop door, he flung it open and stumbled into the cool night air. He slammed the door shut behind him, leaning against it as he tried to catch his breath. The sounds of the raccoon's frantic scratching on the other side of the door gradually faded, leaving him in the relative safety of the rooftop. After catching his breath and listening to see if the raccoon was still banging at the door, Ladarius took off running and reached the ladder to get off the roof, his heart still pounding from the close encounter. As he turned around to descend, he heard the unmistakable sound of the rooftop door being pushed open. The raccoon, relentless and enraged, was running after him again. "What the fuck?" Ladarius muttered to himself, picking up speed as he hurried down the ladder. In his haste, he nearly slipped, the adrenaline making his movements clumsy. He remembered the garbage can he had moved earlier to climb the stairs. As he reached it, he tried to maneuver around it but fell on top of it. The impact almost buckled his knees, and he landed on his back for a brief second. The raccoon poked its head out, its eyes glowing menacingly in the dim light. "Not today, you little bastard," Ladarius muttered. Rolling off the garbage can and scrambling, he started to run towards his vehicle, his breaths coming in short, panicked gasps. He could hear the raccoon gaining on him, its claws scraping against the ground. Ladarius didn't dare look back. He focused solely on reaching his car. He swung the door with force as he made it to his vehicle. In his haste, the ice cream bag flew out of the car, but he didn't notice. His only concern was avoiding the raccoon. He jumped into the driver's seat, slamming the door shut behind him. His hands shook as he fumbled with the keys, finally getting the car started. Taking another deep breath, he glanced out the window and saw the raccoon standing in the middle of the street, its eyes locked on him. The creature seemed almost defiant, as if challenging him one last time. "Time to end this," Ladarius said through gritted teeth. He slammed his foot on the gas pedal, the car lurching forward. The tires screeched as he accelerated, heading straight for the raccoon. The creature didn't move, its eyes fixed on him until the very last moment. With a thud, the car hit the raccoon and Ladarius kept driving, not looking back. Around 9 a.m. that morning, Kim had to take a detour to her beauty bar because a lousy accident was blocking the road. When she arrived, the morning sunshine warmed over the storefront as she unlocked the door and stepped inside. Kim made her way to the back of the bar, planning to turn on the various equipment needed for the day. As she moved through the dimly lit space, she noticed something unusual. The door to the stairs leading up to the roof was ajar. Frowning, she tried to recall if she had left it open the night before. Then remembering she didn't turn off the alarm system either. Curiosity and a hint of concern pushed her to investigate. She walked upstairs, each step echoing softly in the silence. When she reached the rooftop, her unease grew. There were footprints on the roof, faint but unmistakable, leading to the edge where the ladder was. Kim followed the tracks, her heart pounding faster with each step. Peering over the edge, she saw clear signs that someone had used the ladder to climb onto the roof. Panic set in as she rushed back downstairs. Her mind raced with questions and worries about what might have been taken or tampered with. She immediately began counting the inventory, meticulously checking each item. To her surprise, everything seemed accounted for, except one bottle of hairspray. She sighed in relief, but her mind was still restless. She accessed the camera footage to see if it could shed any light on the intruder. However, she quickly remembered that Emmanuel had recently installed new cameras, and only he knew the codes to access them. Frustration bubbled inside her as she realized she couldn't check the footage alone. Kim picked up her phone, ready to dial Emmanuel's number. She hesitated, thinking about the close election and not wanting to burden him with this problem. She stood there, torn between needing help and not wanting to cause unnecessary stress. A thought struck her, and she remembered another contact she had, someone who could look into this for the right price. She quickly scrolled through her contacts and found the number. With a determined expression, she sent a text, ready to take action and get to the bottom of this mystery, without involving Emmanuel. Later that day, Alex and Mario drove to Jason's new home to help him move in. The sun was shining brightly, casting a warm glow over the picturesque property. As they pulled up, they couldn't help but admire the stunning house. "Jason, this is very nice, my guy," Alex said. Mario nodded in agreement. "Yeah, it's nice. But does Ashley like this house? Because if not, she's going to make you sell it." "How do you figure Ashley is going to be living with me, Mario?" Jason asked. Jason laughed, shaking his head. "Don't you have enough problems to worry about between your two gladiators at home?" Mario smirked, a hint of frustration in his eyes. "They can take that macho shit somewhere else if they want to live with me." "But last night?" Alex interrupted, curious. "What happened last night?" Mario sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Mary and Antiriel had another clash. They can't be in the same room without wanting to rip each other's heads off. I had to step in and play referee again." Jason chuckled, shaking his head. "Man, you got your hands full. This house is a fresh start for me. I'm hoping we can build something good here." The three stood there momentarily, taking in the new surroundings and enjoying the calm before the storm of moving in. It was a moment of camaraderie and support, a reminder that despite the chaos in their lives, they had each other's backs. Jason grinned and motioned for Alex and Mario to follow him. Hey, I want to show you guys something special. The real reason I bought this place. Alex raised an eyebrow, exchanging a wary glance with Mario. Man, we are black and don't do secret rooms, tunnels, and shit. Jason laughed, shaking his head. Trust me, this is different. He led them through the house to a hidden door in the basement. He opened it to reveal a room filled with high-end car parts, tools and equipment, and a small office. The space was meticulously organized, with a sleek workbench and custom lighting. It was a car enthusiast's dream. Wow, Mario said, his eyes widening in admiration. This is impressive, Jason. Yeah, this is where I'll be spending most of my time, Jason said, beaming with pride. I couldn't pass up on the property once I saw this workshop. It's perfect for working on my cars. Alex nodded, clearly impressed. All right, I see why you kept this a secret. This place is dope. Mario smirked, nudging Jason. Just make sure Ashley likes the rest of the house too, or you'll be in trouble. Jason laughed, shaking his head. I think she'll come around. But seriously, thanks for helping me out today, guys. It means a lot. The sun was almost setting, casting a warm golden glow through the windows of Tara's restaurant, as Emmanuel and Trey sat at a corner table, reviewing the final details for the election night dinner party. The atmosphere was a mix of anticipation and nervous energy, with the restaurant staff bustling around, preparing for the big event. Tara approached their table, ready to finalize the menu. All right, let's review the food and drink items one last time to ensure everything is perfect for election night. Emmanuel nodded, glancing at Trey before turning his attention to Tara. Absolutely. We want to ensure everything goes smoothly. Let's start with the appetizers. Tara began listing the options. We have the mini crab cakes, bruschetta with fresh tomatoes and basil, and the spinach and artichoke dip with toasted baguettes. Any changes or additions? Emmanuel's expression shifted immediately. I can't have the crab cakes. I'm allergic to fish products. Tara's eyes widened. Oh my, I had no idea. We'll replace that with something else immediately. Maybe some stuffed mushrooms instead? Emmanuel nodded, his tone softening. That sounds good. Let's move on to the main courses. Tara smiled, flipping to the next page of her notepad. For the mains, we have the herb-roasted chicken, grilled salmon with a lemon dill sauce. Emmanuel interrupted, shaking his head. No fish, remember? We'll need a different option. Trey jumped in, looking a bit embarrassed. How about a beef tenderloin? That should be a good substitute. Tara nodded quickly, jotting down the change. Got it. Herb-roasted chicken, vegetarian lasagna, and beef tenderloin. All served with a side of seasonal vegetables and garlic mashed potatoes. Emmanuel sighed, slightly annoyed but understanding. Perfect. What about drinks? Tara continued. We'll have a selection of red and white wines, craft beers, and of course, a signature cocktail for the evening. The Victory Sip, a blend of gin, elderflower, and fresh lime juice. Emmanuel smiled. That works. Now, about desserts? Tara replied. We have chocolate lava cakes and fruit tarts to make sure everyone has something they enjoy. As they wrapped up the discussion, Tara hesitated momentarily before speaking up. You know, it's interesting how things have played out recently. That night, with Anika, it's still on many people's minds. Emmanuel's expression hardened slightly, but he kept his tone even. It was a tragic night, Tara. A terrible accident. Tara nodded slowly, her eyes searching his. Yes, that's what everyone says. Just an accident. Trey, sensing the tension, decided to steer the conversation back to the event. So, Tara, everything is set then? We appreciate your flexibility with the menu. Tara, picking up on Trey's cue, let the subject drop and smiled. Of course! Emmanuel glanced at his watch. Thank you, Tara. We'll see you on election night. Later that day, just before sunset, Olivia finished her day with a delicious meal at Tara's restaurant. The city lights were beginning to twinkle as she made her way through the bustling streets. She entered the restaurant, the warm ambiance and enticing aromas instantly enveloping her. Deciding to head to the bar for quicker service, Olivia walked through the elegant dining area. As she approached the bar, she noticed a familiar figure sitting there. Squinting slightly, she realized it was Michelle. Surprised, she made her way over. Hey, Michelle, fancy seeing you here, Olivia greeted, her voice warm. Michelle, who had been lost in thought, looked up, startled. Olivia, wow, I didn't expect to see you here. How have you been? Olivia smiled, taking a seat next to Michelle. I've been good, just needed to unwind after a long day. How about you? Before Michelle could respond, she caught Tara's eye across the room and signaled her. Tara, recognizing Olivia, made her way over to greet them. Olivia, it's so good to see you. How's everything? Tara asked, her smile genuine. Hi, Tara. Everything's good. Just needed a little treat to end the day, Olivia replied. Tara nodded, glancing at Michelle. Can I get you ladies anything special? Olivia chuckled. Just a glass of your finest wine for now, Tara, and maybe some recommendations for dinner? Absolutely, Tara said, sending a server off to get Olivia's wine. Michelle turned back to Olivia, her expression softening. So, what's been going on with you? Oh, you know, the usual. Friends, life, and trying to keep up with everything. How about you? Anything new? Olivia asked, keeping the conversation light. Michelle shrugged, a small smile playing on her lips. Not much. Just trying to manage all the craziness around here. The server returned with Olivia's wine and a menu, giving her recommendations for dinner. By the way, how's Alex doing? Tara asked, curiosity in her voice. Olivia smiled. Alex is good, keeping busy as always. A commercial ad for Emmanuel's election campaign flashed on the TV above the bar just then. The women glanced up, watching Emmanuel shake hands with supporters, his polished smile filling the screen. Speaking of Emmanuel, Olivia said, turning back to Tara and Michelle, Alex and I saw the chief not too long ago. He doesn't look like he's doing too well. Tara and Michelle exchanged worried looks. What did the chief say? Michelle asked, leaning in. Olivia took a sip of her wine. Well, he thanked us and gave us his card. He also mentioned something about if we had any other info on his wife's murder to let him know. Tara and Michelle exchanged another look, this time with more intensity. So the chief reached out to y'all too, huh? Tara said, her tone wary. Olivia nodded. Yeah, it was a bit strange. He seemed desperate for any leads. The atmosphere grew tense as the weight of their shared knowledge hung in the air. The casual conversation took on a more serious tone, each woman contemplating the implications of the chief's request. Girl, you might want to get another glass of wine because we have some things to tell you about the chief. He's crazy, Tara says to Olivia. Chris pulled into town, the rumble of his truck's engine echoing through the streets as he returned from a truck show. His phone buzzed, and he glanced at the screen to see a call from his towing business. Answering it, he learned there had been a chemical spill accident a few doors down from Kim's beauty bar and that they had had the street blocked off all day, and his presence was needed on the scene. God damn it, Chris muttered to himself, turning his truck toward the beauty bar. Meanwhile, Kim was leading Trey up the narrow staircase to the roof of her beauty bar. I need to show you something, Kim said, her voice tense. When I arrived this morning, I found these footprints on the roof. Trey followed her closely, his eyes scanning the surroundings as they reached the rooftop. Kim pointed to the roof's edges, where faint footprints were visible. See here, Kim said, her voice dropping to a whisper. Someone climbed up here and walked across the roof. They probably jumped off here, she indicated, where the footprints abruptly ended near the edge of the building. Trey knelt, examining the prints carefully. You think they broke into the beauty bar? Kim nodded, her anxiety palpable. I checked the inventory and only a bottle of hairspray is missing, but whoever it was, they were inside Trey, and they used the ladder over there. Trey stood up, dusting his hands off on his pants. We need to figure out who did this and why. Chris pulled up a few doors down, his tow truck's lights flashing. He stepped out, taking in the scene of the accident. His eyes wandered to Kim's beauty bar where he saw movement on the roof. That's strange, Chris thought to himself. What's going on up there? He approached the accident scene, but his mind was half focused on the activity he'd noticed at Kim's place. As he helped hook up the damaged tractor trailer to his company's tow truck, he kept glancing over, curious about what was unfolding on the roof of the beauty bar. Kim turned to Trey, her expression serious. Let's keep this break-in a secret. Emmanuel shouldn't have to worry about this right now. Trey nodded in agreement. Trey climbed down the ladder, carefully following Ladarius's footprints. He noticed skid marks and an ice cream bag from an ice cream parlor. His eyes narrowed, recognizing that the details could be important. Trey tracked the tire marks a few feet further, leading him directly to the accident scene, where Chris was already at work. Chris noticed Trey approaching and immediately stepped forward. "Sir, can I help you?" "You can't be here," Chris said, his tone professional but firm. Trey looked at Chris with a hint of irritation. "No, you can't help me," he replied curtly, his eyes scanning the area for any more clues. With a final, assessing look at Chris, Trey turned around and walked away, his mind racing with possibilities. As Trey walked away, Chris watched him go, curiosity and suspicion mixing in his mind. Later that same night, Ladarius sat on the couch, recounting his earlier encounter with the raccoon to Kesey. "You should have seen it," Ladarius said, his eyes wide with mock horror. "This yellow-eyed monster came at me like it was possessed. I had to fight it off with hairspray." Kesey laughed, shaking her head. "You and your crazy stories. Next time, take a baseball bat." Their laughter was interrupted by the sound of the TV. Emmanuel's face filled the screen, addressing a crowd as Election Day loomed closer. Ladarius's expression turned serious as he watched the broadcast. "Maybe I should watch the footage," Ladarius said, thinking aloud. "If there's a chance I can prove Kim didn't do it, I might have a shot at the head of security job." He plugged the smoke detector's memory card into his laptop, and the progress bar slowly filled as the file was uploaded. Kesey, intrigued, decided to watch the footage with him. The anticipation grew as the screen flickered to life. The video played, showing the interior of the beauty bar. Ladarius and Kesey leaned in closer, their eyes fixed on the screen. The footage was clear, capturing every detail. Suddenly, their eyes widened in shock. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. "Is that—" Kesey started to say, but Ladarius held up a hand, his heart pounding. "What the fuck?" Well, what an explosive chapter that was. You've just listened to another twist in the dark tale of We Hit. If your heart's racing and you're craving more, you know what to do. Smash that like button and hit subscribe. Things are about to get even bloodier, more deceitful, and thrilling. So stay with us and brace yourselves for the next chapter.
Wow.